That was a look back at the press conference face-off from the last fight week in September, and no love lost between these two ladies. They will go down in the rematch this Saturday night. Let's bring them out to the stage, introducing the challenger, Sandy Ryan, and the champion, Mikaela Mayer. Give it up for the ladies, everybody. Everyone's comfy? Everyone's good? All right, before we get started, really quick with the questions for the two of you. Mikaela, earlier this month, the British Boxing Board of Control named you, Mikaela Mayer, the 2024 Overseas Boxer of the Year at their annual award ceremony. So here's your award. You haven't had a chance to see it yet?
Thank you.
In person?
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. You know, I spent the last 2 years of my career over in the UK, and so even though I missed the US, I had a great time over there, had some great fights over there. I really love the fans over there, so much appreciated.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Stephanie will hold that for you so you can hold on to some other hardware right now. Make sure that doesn't slip off your lap. Mikaela Mayer, Sandy Ryan, Christina Poncher, thank you all for joining us. Mikaela, I'll start with you. You're introducing you as the champion this time around. How does that feel?
It feels good. It feels great. It feels right. You know, it's been a tough last 2 years, but I always knew that I would get myself back in position and get my belt back around my waist. So it's tough in boxing. I think a lot of people might have counted me out. You know, it's a unforgiving sport, and one hiccup and one loss, the narrative changes and the energy changes and it shifts. So I had to believe that I would be here, and it feels good to finally have the belt back.
And on the other hand, for you, Sandy, this time as the challenger, how much more does that fuel you up? As if you needed any more fuel or fire or motivation coming back now, looking at that belt, wanting to get that belt back Saturday night.
Yeah, the fuel and the fire is there. And yeah, from the last fight, I'm ready to put on another big performance.
Coming into the last fight, how would you describe, if you could even put into words, what your emotions were that night?
Yeah, you all seen it. I thought an emotion and anger, yeah. And a lot of the talk has been about that, but I've forgot about that. I've worked hard. I've had a long camp here, and I'm ready to make it a difference on Saturday night.
Yeah, we talked a little bit leading up to this fight, and I mean, it's pretty fair to say that despite what you went through prior to that fight, you fought your butt off. You know what I mean? But you weren't even at your best, you would say, right? Physically or emotionally coming into that night.
Yeah, I'll say that.
In the fight.
Yeah, I'd say that, but I'm not taking nothing away from Mikaela. She got the belt, and I appreciate her accepting the rematch and making this fight and what the fans wanted, because it was a great first fight. But we all know, well, people that know me, 100% Sandy, I'll be taking that belt back.
What do you think it says about Sandy Ryan, the fact that you were able to go through that adversity, deal with what you dealt with paint being thrown on you prior to getting to the venue, having to deal with a disruption in the locker room? Like, what do you think that says about you, Sandy, that you were still able to come into the ring that night and fight the way that you did, and the fight was as close as it was? What does that say about Sandy Ryan?
I let you all guys think that, but I know that I'm a fighter. I know what I would never have pulled out of the fight, and people said I should have, but yeah, I'd let people see what kind of person I am and what kind of fighter I am, and anything that they threw at me, I still got in there, and I still put on a performance.
And that's one thing, Mikaela, that even after the aftermath of the last fight and the build up to this, you have given her props for. Like, look, she could have walked away and did what her team told her to do, and instead she did choose to stand in there and fight. So at least, you know, I know that you give her respect, at the very least, for the amount that she went in there and put on a hell of a fight, despite all things considered. That's what fighters do.
Yeah, there's lots of things leading up to a fight. You know, when you go in there and the bell rings, you got to put it all behind you. But I am glad that she pulled through, and it's disappointing that her team, you know, wasn't as cool, calm, and collected as she was, you know, because your team is supposed to hold you down and keep your mind right. So that was unfortunate, but, you know, she showed up and she gave the fans a good fight, so you got to give her props for that.
I mean, it does kind of, I don't want to say messes with you a little bit, but you're hearing the very same thing that she's hearing about what happened, and you're saying, I hope she doesn't pull out of the fight. Like, it's not to be dismissed, you having to overcome some, adversity too, in the sense of not knowing what's going to happen minute to minute leading up to a ring walk of a fight.
I mean, I didn't really even, her pulling out of the fight didn't even cross my mind, like, because that's never something that I would do, but...
Even though her coaches...
Then I started seeing how her coaches were reacting, and then the rumor that she was potentially talking about pulling out of the fight. And then I started, and then ESPN comes around, and apparently I'm the culprit. I'm the one who did it. So it kind of all just happened really fast, but it didn't happen to me, so I was fine.
Mikaela's been very vocal about, the way that the team handled the incident in the locker room or whatnot. Some changes have been made to your team since then. A few new faces actually in the corner, with adding your brother to the corner, right? And also who was a professional fighter in his own right, Dave Rocky Ryan, and then Kay Karoma. What led to the decision to put some new voices, not in your life, and they've always been in your corner per se, but actually physically come fight night?
It was always, that's always the corner that I come over to America to have, to be honest. But
yes, there we go. Some honesty. We knew that though.
There you go. We'll see you Saturday night anyway. Kay and my brother in my corner. It's nice.
What do you feel like looking back? Have you watched the fight? How many times have you watched back the first fight?
Twice.
Twice.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. You've probably watched it back, 20?
Coach Giles probably watched it 100
times. But in what you saw, what you needed to see with your brother and with Coach K, what can you take away from that fight that you need to improve on? Because I did hear you say coming into this rematch, you feel like you're going to knock her out.
Just go into it being me, and with no distractions, and level-headed and calm. And that's how I'm approaching this whole fight week and fight night.
She has been pretty calm and pretty...
She's always like that. She's
level. I mean, it's kind of her, that's her
no
demeanor.
Personality. That's how she always walks around.
For you, Mikaela, though, I mean, you've been vocal this week about how you feel like you've had to kind of carry the promotion. You obviously had no problem offering her the rematch. Why was that important to you, considering kind of you didn't get that same just due in your previous fights?
To offer her the rematch?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't like, oh, let me be nice to Sandy and give her the rematch. Like, it wasn't like that. I looked after the fight. We went back. We saw how great the views were. I know everyone really enjoyed the fight. It was an exciting fight. Those are the type of fights I love to have. So it made sense to do the rematch. I think if a rematch is warranted, then it should happen, whether there's a contract or a clause in your contract or not. And I can understand that because I didn't get the rematches I felt I was worthy of getting. And so with all that combined, and just made the most sense for me financially too, and I decided, all right, let's like shut up all these excuses and shut up the naysayers, and take everything, all the drama that happened before the fight, take that out of the equation, and I'll just do it again and do it better.
But that's kind of what you're saying too, right? Take all of that out of the equation, get into the ring and fight. That's what you've wanted to do since probably the decision was announced and new.
Yeah, of course, because it wasn't my full potential in the ring, so I know I can do better, and you'll see that Saturday night.
Mikaela, have you thought about what it's going to be like sitting in that corner and seeing your former trainer across the ring in the other corner?
It doesn't bother me. Listen, he was always in her corner. He may not have been there physically that night. When he needed her, he wasn't in her corner. But he was in her corner behind the scenes, in the camp, in the build-up. He was always there. So it doesn't matter if I have to look at him across from the corner or not. The fact is, he took on Sandy. I had to leave and find a new team. So the betrayal was already there. But ultimately, I moved on. I'm fine. I'm content. I'm happy, actually. I'm thankful for Sandy. You guys are perfect for each other. And I think that I've leveled up 100% with Kofi in my corner. And I couldn't be happier with the decision. It was literally a blessing in disguise. I'm glad it happened.
So she's had a couple camps now with Kay, whether it's been in the forefront or not. You too, right? With Kofi, John too, and now it's 2 full fight camps together with Coach Al and Kofi. How much stronger do you feel now filling out at welterweight officially and having 2 back-to-back solid training camps with your new team?
Yeah, I really feel great. I feel better than ever. And I think maybe people think at this stage in your career, it's hard to make that much of a jump and really develop or change all that much. But I really do feel like I'm better than ever. I'm stronger and I'm healthy at this welterweight. I'm not really cutting weight, and all my little tweaks and injuries went away, and I've been able to put on muscle. And then just what Kofi has added to my team, like, he was sort of a missing puzzle, the missing piece, adding that last equation to everything, and, getting me turning into my punches and sitting on my shots. That's the kind of fighter that he was. So it's just great after all these years to add fresh eyes in the gym and make those little tweaks that are going to continue to help me grow and get better, again, even at this stage.
Sandy has said that she feels like in this rematch that she's going to stop you. What's your response to that?
I mean, I'm sure she feels that way. She probably felt that way in the last fight. The last fight she was saying that I wasn't a true welterweight, I was too small, but I still sent her to the hospital with a concussion. If I did that then with the way I was punching and me still being new to welterweight, then I'm going to hurt her 10 times more this time around.
Do you want to set that record straight for what she's saying about what transpired after the fight? More like a precautionary thing? Or did you feel like her power and everything, that it was a smart thing to do is to go to the hospital? She claims that, you were concussed after the fight.
Is that so?
I mean, I've never ran to the bathroom and started throwing up after a fight. That's usually a sign that you're severely concussed.
But as what happened to me before the fight ever happened to you? 3 hours before a fight.
So
Come
3
on
hours
now,
later,
Mikaela.
you're suddenly throwing up
Let's
and
just
getting
stop
a little
talking
paint
about
on
it.
your leg.
Next question.
What do you need to do differently to walk away with that belt Saturday night?
I just need to be myself, and I need to be calm and collected, and I'll get the job done.
Before we go, I know we did talk a lot about the past and what needs to happen, but I don't want to take away from the fact that it was a spectacular fight in the ring. Looking back at the scorecards, the judges only agreed on 2 of the rounds that they scored unanimously. The other 8 rounds, the judges, had different winners for that round. So that just lends itself to how competitive the first fight was, how skilled you two were in the ring, the kind of show that you guys put on. And I just want to mention, as we wrap up Women's History Month here in March, this is the last fight night. 2 women are headlining for March Women's History Month. You guys had set the record for the last 20 years for female main event ESPN, the most watched. My hat's off, and kudos to you ladies for how you performed in the first fight, and how I know, yes, please, and how I know that you guys will look to perform. But let me ask you what it means to you. You had Katie Taylor here this week having your back in camp with you, arguably the top pound-for-pound female in the world right now. You've had young girls coming into the gym, watching you train. You've inspired them. Like, can you kind of tell me what that means to you, all that now headlining once again?
It means everything, and it's one of the things why we do it as well. And like the young girls in the gym and the talent nowadays with the young girls, I look back and think I was not that good at that age. So yeah, and it's just inspire the next generation. And we're doing it headlining in Las Vegas. It's massive.
A huge opportunity. Huge opportunity. And for you, Mikaela, you've always been about pushing the needle forward for women's boxing. You've done that with the way that you fight. We got Perla signed to Top Rank Boxing. I know George manages her. You wanted her to be here today. Just what does this say about you to wrap up this month? Women's boxing is on an incredible run right now with being signed by different promoters, headlining cards, putting on fights of the year. Like, what does that mean for you, and what your goal was since you signed with Top Rank?
Yeah, it really is insane to see how far we've all come.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know what this generation of women were thinking, because when we all first walked into the gym, professional promoters weren't signing women. We weren't allowed to compete in the Olympics, but we were all a little bit delusional when it came to the fact that we all believed that we would somehow make a career in this sport. And I know I wasn't the only one, because the girls in this generation, we had to have that mindset. We had to be a little crazy and believe that. And I really feel like this generation is the true pioneer of women's boxing, because we've been able to cross over and create that blueprint for the next generation. I'm extremely happy that Top Rank has signed another female. It's still a tough market, and so they've been selective about who they have signed. I think that me and Sinisa have done our best to help convince them that there is a market for us and we do belong here. And so I'm really happy to sign a young talent, only 19 years old. They have plenty of time to build her, and that's what Top Rank does best. So really excited. Congrats, Perla. And yeah, despite all the drama, me and Sandy really did have a great fight. And it was great for the sport, and as much as we may not like each other right now, sometimes it's good to have a dance partner because, the rivalries are good for women's boxing also, and, we make the best fights happen.
They're good for boxing as a whole. You two are good for boxing as a whole with the display that you put on in the ring. So we're looking forward to it Saturday night. Let's face them off. Front stage, thank you both very much. It's going down Saturday night in our main event, ESPN. You got the belt? Yep, let me move out of the way here for you ladies. It's our main event, the WBO Welterweight World Championship on the line. The champion, Mikaela Mayer, the challenger, Sandy Ryan. They run it back in the rematch from the Fountain Blue in Las Vegas. Tickets are still available. You could cut that tension with a knife. Thank you, ladies, so much. All right, let's take another look at the fight card for Saturday night. The first bouts on ESPN Plus get started at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and then join us on ESPN for our 2 world title fights starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Again, limited number of tickets available at the Fountain Blue or Ticketmaster. Doors open at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. So get your tickets and join us live. And don't forget, tomorrow, the weigh-in. We'll be right back here at the Moonstone Event Center at the Fountain Blue. Watch live on all top-ranked channels and ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. Pacific for...
Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Hub TV, and give us a follow online as well at Fight Hub TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.